You keep telling yourself the world's unfair. You just stopped adapting. The lie is seductive. It whispers that the game was rigged before you even started playing. That you were born too late to build something meaningful, too early to enjoy what's coming next. You scroll, you compare, you ache. You convince yourself that success belongs to someone else, the influencer with better timing, the entrepreneur with the right connections, the guy who somehow figured out the algorithm while you're still trying to figure out yourself. But here's the truth most won't say out loud. It's not that the world has become unfair. It's that comfort has made us soft, and distraction has made us blind to our own potential. The modern man is drowning in abundance. You wake up and your phone is already shouting. Notifications, headlines, endless reels of other people's achievements. The noise never ends. You chase validation like it's oxygen, yet every breath feels thinner. You work a job you don't love, for money that disappears faster than time itself. You tell yourself it's fine, that one day you'll get it together. But that day keeps slipping further away. You feel like a passenger in your own life, carried by currents you didn't choose, waiting for someone to throw you a rope. The weight of expectation presses down on your chest, to be strong, successful, confident. Yet you can't shake the feeling that something vital inside you has gone quiet. Maybe it's because adaptation requires motion. Change requires risk. And somewhere along the line, you stop moving. You started protecting what little comfort you had instead of building something greater. You call it stability. But really, it's fear dressed up as logic. You tell yourself the world's unfair so you don't have to confront the truth, that you stopped fighting, that you stopped evolving, that the man you were meant to become is waiting on the other side of discomfort. Fire tests gold, adversity tests men. Those are the words of Seneca, a man who lived through exile, betrayal, and chaos, yet never surrendered his discipline or his mind. He understood something we've forgotten. Life isn't supposed to be fair. It's supposed to be a forge. Every hardship, every failure, every disappointment isn't punishment. It's heat. It's the universe asking, will you melt, or will you mold yourself into something unbreakable? In our modern world, we've traded adversity for convenience. We complain about Wi-Fi speeds but avoid difficult conversations. We want confidence without rejection, wealth without risk, peace without discipline. But the world has never rewarded that kind of thinking. Evolution doesn't wait for comfort. The strongest version of you is built through friction, not ease. Every time life pushes you down, it's offering you a choice, adapt or decay. Adapting doesn't mean surrendering. It means recalibrating. The battlefield has changed, not from swords to silicon, from arenas to algorithms. But the warrior's spirit remains the same. The man who adapts doesn't blame the storm, he studies it. He learns the wind, builds his sail, and moves forward while others curse the weather. When the world shifts, he shifts faster. When technology evolves, he evolves sharper. He doesn't cling to the past because he's too focused on mastering the present. So here's your challenge. Stop scrolling for inspiration and start building momentum. Every morning, before you touch your phone, write down one thing that needs to change and take one step toward it. It doesn't matter how small. Read a page. Send the email you've been avoiding. Lift something heavy. Do something that reminds your body and mind that you're alive and capable. Momentum compounds. The act of movement reignites something ancient inside you, something primal and proud. When you feel the world's unfair, remember that fairness was never promised. You were not born to be comfortable. You were born to grow. And growth is violent. It tears old habits apart. It burns illusions. It demands sacrifice. But that's how men are forged, not in the glow of screens, but in the dark silence of self-confrontation. The moment you stop wishing for fairness and start acting with purpose, you begin to rewrite your story. You become the kind of man who no longer complains about the world because he's too busy shaping his own. The truth is, the world isn't unfair. It's indifferent. And that indifference is a gift because it means you're free to define what matters. You can be the man who adapts or the one who fades. You can stand still and watch others evolve, or you can choose to rise and meet the chaos with clarity and courage. The storm isn't the enemy. It's the proving ground. The faster you accept that, the stronger you become. So when the music swells and the lights fade, remember this: every unfair moment is a test of your adaptability. The question isn't whether the world is fair. The question is whether you're still willing to evolve. Because the man who adapts survives. But the man who thrives, he's the one who adapts before he has to. That's how you win in an unfair world, not by fighting its rules, but by mastering the art of change. You don't wait for the world to get easier. You get stronger. And when you do, the world bends, not because it's fair, but because you finally are. You keep telling yourself the world's unfair. You just stopped adapting. There's a quiet kind of despair that lives in men today. It hides behind humor, behind the constant scrolling, behind the need to stay busy. You wake up, go to work, come home, repeat. You call it survival, but deep down you know it's stagnation. Somewhere between ambition and exhaustion, you stopped fighting for something better. You stopped believing change was possible. You tell yourself it's not your fault. The economy's broken, the system's rigged, the opportunities are gone. You look around and convince yourself everyone else had a head start. But that story is killing you, slowly, one excuse at a time. Modern life has given us everything but meaning. We can talk to anyone, anytime, yet we've never been lonelier. We can learn anything, yet most of us are too distracted to try. We can earn more than our fathers ever did, yet feel emptier than they ever seemed. The truth is, abundance without direction becomes poison. And for many men, that poison looks like quiet resignation, the slow decay of purpose beneath the weight of comfort. You tell yourself the world's unfair because it's easier than admitting you've lost the will to adapt. The philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That was 2,000 years ago, yet it feels like he's speaking directly to us. The world has always been unpredictable. Empires fell, wars erupted, plagues spread. Yet the men who endured didn't wait for fairness. They focused on what they could control. Their strength came from within. Today, we've forgotten that truth. We outsource our sense of stability to systems, trends, algorithms. We let technology think for us, opinions form us, and comparison define us. We stopped reacting with strength and started reacting with complaint. To adapt in 2025 doesn't mean just keeping up with technology. It means keeping up with yourself. It means facing the mirror without filters and asking, am I still growing or just existing? The modern battlefield isn't fought with swords, it's fought with focus. The enemy isn't out there. It's in your mind, whispering comfort, distraction, and fear. You think you need motivation, but what you really need is clarity. Adaptation begins when you stop wishing for the past and start mastering the present. It's realizing that change isn't the enemy, stagnation is. Here's the reality. The man who learns faster wins. The one who's willing to pivot, to learn a new skill, to take a hit and keep moving, he's unstoppable. The man who clings to his excuses, who blames the world for his lack of progress, he becomes irrelevant. The world doesn't care how hard it's been for you. It doesn't reward bitterness, only resilience. The more you resist change, the more it punishes you. But the moment you embrace it, it starts working for you. Try this. Every time you catch yourself saying, "It's not fair," stop. Take a breath. Replace that phrase with, "What can I learn?" That simple shift transforms resentment into responsibility. The next time life feels heavy, don't retreat. Step into it. If you lose your job, learn a skill. If you're lonely, reach out first. If you're stuck, change your environment. Movement creates momentum. Adaptation begins when you stop waiting for permission to change and start acting as if your life depends on it, because it does. Think about nature. The tree that bends in the storm doesn't break. The animal that adapts to new terrain survives. You're no different. The human mind was built to evolve, to stretch, to overcome. But we've dulled that instinct with comfort. We chase dopamine instead of discipline, convenience instead of challenge. The path back to strength isn't easy, but it's simple. Reconnect with discomfort. Do something today that scares you a little. Have the hard conversation. Turn your phone off for an hour. Lift something heavier than yesterday. Each act of courage rewires your mind to adapt again. And here's the deeper truth. Adaptation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you were meant to be before the world told you to play it safe. The boy inside you still wants to build, to explore, to fight for something that matters. He's waiting for you to stop hiding behind excuses and start moving again. When you adapt, You don't lose yourself, you find the version of you that was always capable of more. You say the world's unfair, but fairness is irrelevant. Life isn't a competition, it's a test of endurance. The men who rise aren't the ones who had the best circumstances, they're the ones who refused to quit when it was hard. They understood that the unfairness of life is what gives it meaning. Without struggle, there's no strength. Without failure, there's no growth. Without adaptation, there's no evolution. So when you feel the weight of the world pressing on you, remember this. You were built for this. Every challenge is a call to evolve. Every setback a message that says, grow. The world isn't against you, it's shaping you. The question is whether you'll break or build yourself through it. In the end, adaptation isn't a skill, it's a mindset. It's the refusal to stay still when life demands motion. It's choosing resilience over resentment, progress over pity. When you stop blaming the world and start building yourself, you stop being a victim of change and start becoming its master. Because in this world, the man who adapts doesn't just survive. He leads. He inspires. He thrives. So stand up. Take the first step. Change something, anything. Because the moment you do, the world's unfairness stops mattering. And what remains is possibility. You keep telling yourself the world's unfair. You just stopped adapting. Every generation faces its own war. Ours just happens to be silent. No bombs, no blood, just endless noise, distraction, and doubt. The battlefield is digital now. The weapons are comparison and comfort. The casualties are dreams slowly fading into routine. You scroll through other people's lives and call it inspiration, but deep down, it chips away at you. Every highlight reel becomes another reminder that you're behind, that everyone else seems to be moving forward while you're stuck replaying the same day on repeat. You tell yourself the game's unfair because it feels safer than admitting you've stopped playing. The modern man is tired, not from effort, but from aimlessness. You're working hard, but toward what? You hit goals that don't fulfill you. You chase recognition that disappears overnight. You fill the silence with noise, terrified of what you might hear if things got quiet. There's this ache inside, a kind of restless sadness that whispers, you were meant for more, but you bury it under convenience, under work, under distraction. You trade potential for predictability and call it being realistic. But deep down, you know realism is just fear in disguise. The Japanese samurai Miyamoto Musashi once wrote, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain." That line holds the antidote to modern despair. We were raised to believe success was linear, school, job, security, stability. But the mountain isn't straight. It twists. It breaks. Sometimes it vanishes beneath fog, and you have to carve your own trail. That's what adaptation really is, not surrendering your dream, but changing your route to reach it. Musashi lived in constant battle, yet his greatest victories came from mastering his mind. He understood that the world isn't unfair. It's indifferent. The man who learns to adjust his strategy instead of blaming the terrain, he's the one who wins the climb. Today's terrain has changed. The mountain is steeper, the fog thicker. But the principle remains timeless: adapt or fade. If your career collapses, reinvent. If your body weakens, rebuild. If your heart breaks, refine it. Every setback is an invitation to evolve. Yet too many men stop at the invitation. They wait for clarity, for motivation, for someone to show them the way. But no one's coming. The mountain is yours alone. Here's what most people won't tell you. The reason you feel lost isn't because life's unfair. It's because you've forgotten the skill of self-navigation. You're waiting for certainty in a world that runs on chaos. But the adaptable man doesn't wait for the fog to clear. He moves through it. He makes small adjustments. He studies his mistakes. He trusts his direction even when he can't see the summit. Because deep down, he knows growth only happens in uncertainty. The path is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to humble you. That's what gives it meaning. If you want to adapt, start with this. Reframe discomfort. Every time you feel resistance, see it as proof you're moving toward growth. When you feel anxious, overwhelmed, or stuck, pause and ask, what is this trying to teach me? That single question rewires your entire relationship with struggle. Instead of avoidance, you begin to lean in. Instead of fear, you cultivate curiosity. That's how you turn chaos into clarity. That's how men rise, not by avoiding pain, but by decoding it. In a world obsessed with speed, adaptation is the art of patience. It's knowing that small daily adjustments beat massive, one-time transformations. Read 10 pages a day. Move your body. Speak less, observe more. Remove one thing that wastes your time, add one thing that strengthens your mind. That's evolution in real time. You don't need to see results immediately. What matters is that you're adjusting, refining, learning. Every small adaptation compounds into strength over time. But adaptation also requires humility. You have to accept that your old version might not be enough for what's ahead. That's hard. It means letting go of who you were, the plans, the ego, the story you built around your failures. It means acknowledging that you've changed, and that's okay. The man who clings to his past identity can't embrace his future one. But the man who adapts, he sheds what no longer serves him and steps into what could. The truth is, the world isn't supposed to make it easy for you. It's supposed to test how much you're willing to grow. Every failure is a question. How badly do you want this? Every obstacle is an opportunity to prove you're still evolving. Most men crumble when life shifts. Few rise, but those few shape the future. They lead families, teams, companies, even nations. Not because they had perfect conditions, but because they had the courage to adapt in imperfect ones. So when life hits you hard, don't say it's unfair. Say it's time. Time to pivot. Time to learn. Time to rise again. Because every unfair turn is an opportunity to show what you're made of. In the end, adaptation is how legends are born. It's how warriors become wise. It's how men turn chaos into destiny. The storm will never stop, but neither should you. Keep moving. Keep learning. Keep evolving. Because one day, when you look back from the top of the mountain, you'll realize the world was never unfair. It was preparing you. And every step, every scar, every setback was simply the training ground for the man you were always meant to become. You keep telling yourself the world's unfair. You just stopped adapting. Every man reaches a point where he feels like life has cheated him. Maybe it's after a failure that broke him. Maybe it's when he watches others succeed with half the effort. Maybe it's when he looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize the man staring back. That's when the lie starts to grow. The belief that the world changed too fast, that opportunity's gone, that you're too late. You start blaming the system, the economy, your upbringing, your timing. Anything but your own stagnation. Because facing the truth hurts, you didn't fall behind because life was unfair. You fell behind because you stopped adjusting when it demanded more of you. The modern world moves at light speed. AI reshapes industries overnight. Trends rise and die in days. A skill you learned 5 years ago might already be irrelevant. And in that chaos, most men freeze. They cling to what's familiar, the old job, the old habits, the old excuses. They wait for things to go back to normal, not realizing normal is gone. The ground is shifting beneath their feet, and they're too busy complaining about the tremors to start learning how to move again. There's a reason Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." It's one of the most profound truths about adaptation. The obstacle isn't there to stop you. It's there to shape you. The world's constant change isn't punishment. It's an invitation. Every new challenge, every setback, every unfair twist is a test of your flexibility. The man who sees obstacles as opportunities becomes unstoppable. The one who sees them as reasons to quit fades into irrelevance. So what does adaptation look like in the modern age? It's not just about survival, it's about agility. It's about looking at a rapidly changing world and saying, all right, let's move. It's learning new skills instead of fearing new technologies. It's staying curious instead of cynical. It's questioning your patterns, your beliefs, your comfort zones. It's refusing to be defined by what you used to be, because who you are today is still being written. Think of the men who thrive right now. They aren't necessarily the smartest or the most connected. They're the ones who adjust faster. They see change not as chaos, but as currency. They treat learning like breathing. They adapt before they have to, not after they're forced. They don't waste energy mourning the past. They channel it into mastering the present. That's what separates growth from decay. The man who adapts is alive. The one who resists is already fading. You can start small. Every morning, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today that the old version of me wouldn't? Maybe it's speaking up when you'd usually stay quiet. Maybe it's learning something new instead of doom scrolling. Maybe it's just choosing action over apathy. Each choice becomes a micro-evolution. Over time, those choices transform your mindset, your confidence, your trajectory. Adaptation also means forgiveness, forgiving yourself for the time you lost, the chances you didn't take, the years you spent asleep. Guilt is just another form of stagnation. You can't adapt while looking backward. You have to let go of what could have been to build what still can be. The future doesn't care about your regrets. It only responds to your readiness. And readiness starts with movement, however small, however messy, however uncertain. But let's be real, adapting is brutal. It means admitting that the rules have changed, and the version of you that once worked doesn't anymore. It means killing your ego. It means starting again when you thought you were done starting. It's uncomfortable, humiliating even. But that's the price of evolution. You can't grow and stay the same. The seed doesn't become a tree by protecting itself from the soil. It breaks open. You will too. That's what transformation demands. When things feel unfair, it's often because you've outgrown your old approach. Life is trying to force your evolution. Every rejection, every closed door, every failure is a push toward adaptation. The pain you feel isn't life being cruel, it's life reshaping you. If you resist, you suffer. If you adapt, you ascend. There's a quiet strength that comes from embracing change. It's not loud or showy. It's calm, deliberate, patient. The adaptable man doesn't rush or panic. He observes. He adjusts. He acts with precision. Because he knows control isn't about dictating outcomes, it's about mastering response. That's the stoic truth hidden beneath the chaos of modern life. You can't control the world, but you can control how quickly you grow in it. So when you catch yourself saying the world's unfair, stop. Ask yourself, or have I just stopped evolving? Then do something about it. Sign up for that course. Build that business. Change your routine. Learn to code, lift, meditate, whatever your next evolution demands. Because the longer you wait, the more the world moves without you. And here's the irony. Once you start adapting, the world starts to feel fair again. Not because it changed, but because you did. You start seeing patterns instead of problems. You start feeling capable instead of cursed. You start realizing that fairness was never the point, growth was. The music rises, the world spins faster, and you stand in the middle of it, steady and focused. The chaos no longer scares you. You've learned to move with it. Because the world doesn't reward those who complain it's unfair. It rewards those who evolve despite it. And in the end, that's what real power looks like, not controlling the storm, but becoming the kind of man who can dance within it. You keep telling yourself the world's unfair. You just stopped adapting. There's a voice in your head that says, it shouldn't be this hard. It shows up when you fail, when you're rejected, when you try and still fall short. It tells you that the game is rigged, that success belongs to someone else, that maybe you were never meant to win. It's that quiet whisper that convinces you to give up before you've even begun. And it's lying to you. The truth is, life is hard, but it's supposed to be. You were built to endure it, not escape it. The pain you feel isn't proof that the world's unfair. It's proof that you're being asked to evolve. Every man hits this wall eventually, the one between who he is and who he's meant to become. And the only way past it isn't by complaining or retreating. It's by adapting. Modern life has made that harder than ever. You live in an age of endless ease, same-day delivery, instant entertainment, comfort on demand. Everything's designed to make you comfortable, but comfort isn't the same as happiness. Comfort is the slow death of potential. You feel stuck not because life's unfair, but because you've been seduced into stagnation. You're overfed and under-challenged. You've built a world so soft that it's made you brittle. Look around. Men are lost. They're medicating with dopamine, screens, likes, alcohol, distractions. They're numb to their own dissatisfaction. They tell themselves they're fine, but deep down, they know they're fading. The warrior instinct that once drove men to build, fight, and create has been buried under convenience. You've been taught to chase comfort instead of purpose, to react instead of respond, to wait for things to change instead of becoming the change. But here's where the tide turns, when you remember what you were built for. When you realize that resistance isn't a sign to stop, it's a signal to grow. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is endurable, then endure it." Stop complaining. It's not about suppressing emotion, it's about reclaiming control. Pain is data. Discomfort is direction. The challenge you're facing right now isn't punishment. It's an invitation to adapt, to rise, to sharpen your mind and strengthen your spirit until the things that once broke you become the very things that build you. You say the world's unfair. Good. Let it be. Because unfairness is what creates opportunity. If everything were equal, there'd be no greatness, no innovation, no reason to fight. The imbalance of the world isn't your enemy, it's your arena. Every unfair system, every disadvantage, every failure is just more resistance for you to push against. And that's where strength is born. A man who's never had to fight for something can't possibly know his own depth. Adapting in today's world means redefining what strength looks like. It's not about domination or control. It's about adaptability and awareness. The strongest man is not the one who never falls. It's the one who recalibrates every time he does. He doesn't lose himself in chaos. He adjusts to it. When technology changes, he learns. When the markets shift, he pivots. When life tests him, he studies the test. That's power, quiet, deliberate, unshakable power. So here's your exercise. Choose one area of your life where you've been complaining instead of adapting. Write it down. Be brutally honest. Then ask yourself, what would a stronger version of me do about this? Don't just think, act. Take one tangible step today, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient. No. Because every time you act, you reclaim a piece of your strength. Every small adaptation reawakens something ancient in you, a memory of the man who was built to overcome. There's an old samurai saying, "The man who has overcome himself is truly invincible." That's the real battle, not against the world, but against the part of you that resists growth. Every complaint, every excuse, every moment of hesitation, that's the enemy. The one that keeps you comfortable, compliant, controllable. But the man who masters adaptation becomes untouchable. He learns to dance with chaos. He finds stillness in storms. He thrives where others freeze. And when you start living that way, something incredible happens. The world stops feeling unfair. Not because it changed, but because your perspective did. You stop seeking fairness and start seeking mastery. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." You stop waiting for conditions to improve because you've already improved yourself. You start to realize that fairness is irrelevant. The world owes you nothing, and that's exactly what makes it beautiful. Everything you want must be earned. Everything you desire must be fought for. And the fight is what makes it real. You don't want an easy world. You want a meaningful one. You don't want fairness, you want growth. So stop waiting for balance. Create your own. Stop waiting for opportunity. Adapt until you attract it. Stop complaining that the world's changed. Evolve until the world can't ignore you. Because the man who adapts doesn't just survive change, he becomes the proof that it's possible. When the music swells and the dust settles, remember this. Unfairness is the fire, and adaptation is the forge. Every time you rise after being burned, you come back sharper, stronger, wiser. You keep telling yourself the world's unfair. But one day, you'll look back and realize it was never unfair. It was just waiting for you to become the kind of man who could handle it. You keep telling yourself the world's unfair. You just stopped adapting. There's a certain stillness that comes after struggle, the quiet realization that life was never against you. It was shaping you. The truth doesn't shout, it waits. It waits for the moment when you're done blaming, done running, done fighting battles that don't exist. And when that silence hits, when you're stripped of excuses, something inside you whispers, it's time to change. That's the breaking point. The moment of clarity that separates the men who evolve from the men who vanish. The world doesn't destroy the weak. It simply reveals them. It shows who was paying attention, who was learning, who was ready to adapt. Every generation has its crucible, and this right now is ours. Not a war of weapons, but of will. A war against apathy, against distraction, against the comfort that slowly kills. You can't outrun change anymore. AI is rewriting industries. Economies are shifting. Attention is currency, and authenticity is rare. You can either resent it or rise within it. Because while the world feels unstable, it's actually more full of opportunity than ever, but only for the man who knows how to move. The man who adapts faster than he complains. The man who learns faster than he judges. The man who acts while others hesitate. The ancient Chinese general Sun Tzu said, "In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity." That's not just a poetic line, it's a map. Chaos is the natural state of evolution. Every ending hides a beginning. Every collapse plants the seed for something new. But you only see that when you stop asking for life to be fair. Fairness blinds you. Adaptation frees you. Because when you stop needing control, you start creating direction. So let's talk about what that means for you, the man watching this, feeling lost, stuck, disconnected. The one who knows he's capable of more, but can't seem to break through. You've been waiting for a sign. Here it is, there's no sign coming. You are the sign. The world's not going to slow down for you to catch up, and that's okay. Because the power has always been yours, not to stop the storm, but to build your wings mid-flight. Adapting isn't about speed. It's about awareness. It's about learning to read the patterns, the shifts, the energy of life. When something breaks, don't panic, study it. When something ends, don't mourn. Understand what it's making room for. The man who adapts doesn't react emotionally. He responds strategically. He doesn't see failure as rejection. He sees it as feedback. He doesn't waste his pain. He invests it. He doesn't fear change. He uses it. Here's the framework for real-world adaptation. Awareness, acceptance, action. Awareness, see reality clearly, without filters or self-pity. Acceptance, stop wishing it were different. Start owning your role in it. Action, move forward with what you have, not what you wish you had. That's the triad of modern strength. Most men get stuck in the first step, aware but paralyzed. They see the problem, understand it, even talk about it, but they never act. And without action, awareness becomes torment. You start overthinking everything, feeling everything, doing nothing. The cure is motion. Always motion. Start small. Learn one new thing this week that challenges you. Meet one person who thinks differently. Put yourself in an environment that stretches you. Adaptation happens through exposure. You can't evolve in isolation. You need resistance, friction, failure. They're the training grounds of greatness. Every time you adapt, your confidence expands. You start trusting yourself again, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. And yes, it will hurt. Growth always does. The old version of you won't go quietly. He'll fight for comfort, for validation, for familiarity. But you can't let him win. He's the one who stopped adapting. He's the one who gave up and called it peace. You have to outgrow him. You have to bury the man who was waiting for fairness and become the one who creates momentum. When you stop seeing life as unfair and start seeing it as a challenge, you unlock something powerful. Gratitude. Not the soft, shallow kind that posts quotes online, but the raw gratitude of a man who's been broken and rebuilt himself. The kind that says, "Thank you for the pain. It taught me to rise." That's real power when even the storms start to feel like blessings. Because here's the secret, the world's chaos isn't against you. It's a mirror reflecting your adaptability back at you. The faster you evolve, the calmer it feels. The stronger you grow, the smaller the obstacles seem. The moment you decide to stop waiting for fairness, you start building freedom. Freedom of mind, freedom of purpose, freedom of direction. That's what this is really about. So when you wake up tomorrow and that voice starts again, it's not fair, silence it. Replace it with, "I'll adjust," and then prove it. Move, learn, build, fail, rise, repeat. Until adaptation isn't a response, it's your nature. Until every setback becomes fuel. Until you stop surviving and start thriving. Because that's what men were made for, not fairness, but fortitude. Not comfort, but courage. Not perfection, but progress. The world doesn't owe you balance. It gives you the battlefield. And the man who adapts doesn't complain about the fight, He sharpens his sword and steps forward. And when it's all said and done, when the dust settles and the music fades, you'll understand. It was never about fairness. It was about evolution. You didn't need the world to be fair. You just needed to remember who you were before you stopped adapting.